Hey everyone, it's Linda here. It has been a long time since I have seen you and since I've put myself online, and I'm here to explain why. In the last 9 months, I have had a lot of things occur within my personal life that made me realize that even though, as much as I felt ready in November of 2022 to be this new version of me, which is the real version of me, the universe had other plans for me. There was more that would become available to me that I would eventually share with you. A lot has happened over these 9 months, and I can't even begin to describe the level of spiritual growth that I feel I've gone through, the healing, the emotional upheaval, the clarity, and also the shedding of unnecessary beliefs and perceptions that I was holding on to in the past and up until very recently. So, November of 2022, I posted those two videos. One was called Thanks for Giving Me Space, and the next one was called Two Reasons Why I Wanted to Hide. And it was just a way of me being able to share with you that now I'm in this new place, and I still am. I'm in an even more up leveled place from where I was, of being willing to be more authentic with you and sharing with you anything that I feel could support you and guide you to being more of who you truly are, being more of your authentic self, sharing your voice. What ended up happening was in December of 2022, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. Now, I'm not going to get into details of the type of cancer and all of that because that's just not necessary. But what I can tell you was that by the time that we had discovered that he had had it, it was quite severe. I mean, in the doctor's eyes, they did not expect that today, as it stands, he's able to live a normal life. He is feeling normal. He is eating normally. He is sleeping normally. I mean, so spoiler alert, it's all good. It's all been good. It's just been a journey, a real rough, soul delving journey to get to where we are now. And for me to be able to speak about this as freely and as naturally as I am right now, I think attests to the healing that has gone on behind the scenes when I was not in front of the camera. Once my husband was diagnosed with cancer, I had to, of course, become 100% caregiver to him. I had to do all the things that a caregiver does, take him to appointments, prepare his meals, his medication, to help him in any way, physically and emotionally. I think that's a key thing here is I feel that from a spiritual perspective, I feel that this event that has occurred in our lives has enabled us to gain true clarity into what the purpose of life really is and what it means for us, and also what roles we are capable of taking on and what we are just capable of from an internal strengths perspective when life throws challenges at us. And for me, not only was I physically a support for my husband, but I was also there. I feel what I feel was very valuable for both of us was that I was able to be his emotional and energetic support to help him through the physical and emotional pain that we were both obviously going through at the time. And I felt that there was a lot of learning in that for me in my role in supporting him. And then on top of that, not only was I a caregiver, but I was also a full time stay at home mom to two toddlers under the age of 2. So you can imagine, I mean, if you're a parent, you know how difficult and challenging parenting toddlers already is. If you're a caregiver, you also understand how difficult and challenging caregiving is as well. And I had to play both roles. And so understandably, that's why I haven't been online for the last 9 months. Really, I would say the first several months of him being diagnosed were the hardest ones, because that was when it was just such a sudden shift. Christmas had happened. He was, not feeling well, whatever. But then once we found out, everything flipped upside down. And like I said before, it really brought me to a level where, as difficult as it was being a caregiver and being a full-time stay-at-home mom, I also was able to do a lot of deep healing because I looked at this life challenge as one that was available to me because I needed to do some work internally. There's a lot of us as moms, we believe that once you have children, something changes within you. And it's true, it does. Something changes within you where you start to feel differently. You don't care as much about what other people think. You're not as worried about certain things. But at the same time, as much as that's true, I feel that for me personally, as much as I had changed quite a bit, as I explained in my last video, I knew that I was still holding on to fearful beliefs when it came to worry about how would other people view me. Fear of judgment, self-doubt still existed within me. Am I good enough as a mom? Am I good enough as anything? There was still that lingering. But when you're thrown into a life challenge where really you are needed and you need to put your 100% effort in taking care of what's in front of you, and you're forced to just do what you need to do in order to survive and move through a difficult challenge, there is no room for self-doubt. There is no room for fear of judgment. There is no room. I had no room to worry about what other people would think of me. I was dealing with what I needed to deal with in my family, with my life, and there was just no room for that. And that is where the blessing, I think, came from out of all of this. Not one of many blessings. As traumatic of a situation and scary of a situation and serious of a situation it is, there was still a lot of healing there was a lot of healing that came about, and there were a lot of blessings that came out of it, and the understanding that I'm much more than what I thought or perceived myself to be, that there was more in me. There was a strength within me that I did not know existed and now has grown since then and sustains me today as I am here sitting in front of you, being able to openly talk about all of this. So I really do feel that there is a purpose in this life challenge that I was dealt with, my husband has dealt with. There's learning on both sides, and there's healing that has occurred for ourselves individually, but also together as a family. And I know that this is going to be so powerful, this experience, because it is now already and has already started to shape the way that we raise our two boys and how we see and view life in each other. And what I truly believe in all of this is that when it comes to life challenges, when it comes to difficult situations, I believe that prior to us taking on this incarnation, we actually plan sort of we plant seeds for certain life events that might happen to us, challenges that we'll go through. The reason for that is that if we're living our life on a certain course and we're not learning our lessons as intensely as we should be, then perhaps a life challenge will actually really force us to really learn that life lesson. Now, if we don't learn the life lesson, we always have free will. We always have choice. We can learn the life lesson or we can not learn it, and then perhaps another challenge will then show up and present itself, and then we'll be able to learn the life lesson there. Because of this is how I've always viewed my life, especially recently with everything going on, I know that when this life challenge was presented, right away, I spoke to my husband and I said, let's try to uncover what it is that this is meant to teach us. Let's look into that. As much as we're going to do all the physical things, all the, medication and listen to the doctors and all that, but there's an emotional side, there's an energetic side, because I truly believe that everything is energy first before it becomes physical. I mean, that's science. Things are energy first, and then they move their way into the physical reality, and vice versa. You can have something that is already physically happening, but you can also shift it energetically, and then that physical thing will shift as well. So when it comes to life challenges, what ends up happening is these life challenges are planted for us so that we can learn the life lesson, the underlying lesson beneath it. And when we take that stance, which is what I did with my husband, we took that perspective and said, let's learn the lesson. Let's really dig deep. Let's uncover it. Let's heal. And perhaps that'll have an impact. And I can tell you it did, because we learned the value of what it meant to put yourself first. When I was going through those days of being a full-time caregiver and a full-time stay-at-home mom, I was not putting myself first. I was in survival mode. I was just doing the things that I needed to do. I was stepping outside of myself every single day, putting myself way back at the bottom of the list. No needs, any of my needs were not visible in sight at all. It was all about everybody else. And I think a lot of you can relate to this feeling of stepping outside yourself and just taking care of everyone else and putting yourself last. I think, regardless of the level of severity of situations you're dealing with, even just daily life, going to a job, working, and having to raise a family, there's an element of that that many of us go through where we are stepping outside ourselves. We're putting ourselves last. We're not worrying about our needs. We're not even thinking about ourselves. And then what ends up happening is we end up at some point feeling burned out, yes, but that leaves us feeling broken, empty, lost, stuck, confused inside. And that's exactly how I felt. There were days where I would just be in pure survival mode. I was so good at just getting things done all around the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of my husband. But then I would, after, for me, it only takes a few days because I'm a sensitive. So when I say a sensitive, I mean a highly sensitive person where I can feel things just that much more intensely. And so I have a very low tolerance for that type of suffering, that type of pain, that emotional suffering, that emotional energetic pain. I just can't deal with it. If it gets to a point that I have to look at it head on and I have to resolve it. Otherwise, I'm not useful to myself or anyone. And so this would consistently occur where I would hit this wall. I would break down and I would feel this emptiness inside, and I would question what is going on with me. I mean, I'm being very efficient. I'm doing all the things that I need to do to help everybody else. But that was the answer. It was that I was not doing anything to help myself. I was not doing anything to support myself. There was no support towards myself in terms of appreciating myself. There was no acknowledgement of myself. I totally disregarded my needs and my feelings and what I was going through. And that was where the healing not began, because I've been healing, working on my healing all my life, but that was where the healing really took itself to another level. And I really understood the value of being true to yourself, the value of listening to yourself, the value of centering yourself and taking yourself along with yourself everywhere you go. When I say that, I mean, do you not feel that there are times where you feel like you've left yourself in some back closet and you go to work and you're just putting on this mask, or doing the job that you need to do, being the person that you others expect you to be, and you leave yourself behind? I mean, whether it's at work or whether it's at home or whether it's with dealing with family or friends, that's you not being 100% authentic in who you are. Part of it is because you're not aware that you're doing it. So there's no judgment there. There's no judgment in any of this, by the way. I'm just bringing this to light because this is just what a lived experience that I've gone through all my life, but it just became that much more clear to me over the last 9 months that I had been living this way. There's no judgment. But what you have to acknowledge is that you're not going to feel fulfilled and grateful and appreciative and all those good feelings and comfortable. Even the word comfortable. Do you feel comfortable in your own skin, in your own body on a regular basis? If the answer is no, then hopefully this message that I'm sharing with you is going to help you in some way. The biggest reason why we lack the ability to be authentic and to share our true voice is due to fear of judgment. We fear what others think of us because, understandably, we grew up with others judging us. But the worst part of it all is that it's not what others say or what others think. It's actually us doing the judging towards ourselves. It's the self-judgment. And that's the biggest hurdle to overcome. When I was going through this process of deep healing, and I still am, it's not like I'm done. It's an ongoing process, and it'll be ongoing for the rest of my life, as will it be for you. But as I was going through this understanding, I realized that when it comes to healing, it's like chiseling an ice ball, let's just say. A ball that's like a snowball that's hardened and gotten, really cold and hard. And let's say you want to break it apart for whatever reason, you want to get rid of it. Well, there's two ways to do that. You could put it under the hot sun and let it melt. And that's also a way that we can emotionally heal, is that we are willing to allow ourselves to feel the true depths of that feeling, that emotional pain, and then hopefully it'll melt away. I mean, that is one way, but that is what most people don't do it that way because we want to avoid our true feelings. We want to avoid those hurtful feelings, and so we don't do that. But then the other aspect is you can actually proactively go at it, meaning you can chisel at it. You could take a chisel and start tapping onto that ice cube. And the thing is, though, you want to do it at different angles. So you'll do a little bit on this side, then you'll do a little bit on this side, and so until you finally get to nothing. That's the same with emotional healing, is that let's say you've suffered with the idea of not feeling good enough, not being good enough all your life. Maybe you've healed a certain aspect of that in your adulthood. You've realized, actually, no, I do have value. I am worthy. But then something else comes up, another event, another life challenge comes your way, and you're like, why am I still struggling with feeling like I'm not good enough? Well, it's because this is another angle to look at it. This is another perspective. So when you're able to see your life challenges from different perspectives, and you're able to accumulate those life challenges, and you're able to work through them from those different perspectives, that is when healing really occurs. And that is when that blockage, that emotional blockage, actually disappears. And so this whole talk about worthiness and value and all of that, I feel, is extremely important because it's something that I really want to engage with you and share with you and discuss with you more about. And so, what I would love is for you to go into the comments and share with me, what are your current life challenges that you're struggling with right now? Is it lack of worthiness? Is it feeling self doubt, fear of judgment? I mean, to be honest, these are all along the same thread. But what is it that you're struggling with most? And feel free to ask me questions, to pose questions out there as to what you're dealing with, because what I would love for this to become is for me to create videos that are based on real issues that we are struggling with quietly, silently inside, that we can't seem to find the answers for. I really want to take this channel to that next level. My whole intention and purpose right now, moving forward, what I've realized after these 9 months that I've gone through with my family and my own situation, is that there is no time for us to waste being inauthentic with who we are. We don't know how long we truly have. Nobody ever truly knows. And with that, it is extremely important that we don't waste any more time trying to be something that we're not. Right now, there's a new wave that's happening. More and more people are waking up and they're stepping into their authentic selves. But it doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in an hour. It doesn't happen even necessarily in a year. It is going to be an ongoing, lifelong process. But if you are willing to take that first step, if you are willing to engage with yourself, you're willing to turn inwards, because at the end of the day, true fulfillment, what I've learned, and I'm being completely honest with you here, what I've learned is true fulfillment has nothing to do with anything that's on the outside, has nothing to do with the job. True fulfillment starts with you. It starts with how you feel on the inside, with yourself. True appreciation, true gratitude, not for the things that you have, but gratitude for the fact that you are who you are, for the fact that you are here. And so, with this message that I am really wanting to share, this is something that I want to move forward to continue sharing. I'm picking up from where I left off 9 months ago, okay, guys? And I'm moving it forward. I'm moving it along. I'm ushering you along. So if you're continuing on this journey with me, thank you for being here. And please leave your comments, leave your questions. Are you a working mom? Are you a working dad? Are you a stay at home mom, stay at home dad? Doesn't matter. What are you struggling with? What has been your life challenge? What would you like to know that could potentially heal you? You know, this channel started off being one where I was giving very practical, professional advice. And now I'm moving into just giving my authentic advice, but I'm still going to be as practical as I can. So I really want this to be much more organic, and I want it to start with you. I'd love to hear from you. Please send me your comments, send me your questions. I can only be here speaking the way that I'm speaking and being as open as I can because of the work that I've done, the inner work that I've done. I really believe that. Otherwise, I would have just probably left altogether, left YouTube altogether. But I feel like there's a reason why I was compelled to create this video, even though it's probably all over the place. But I would really love to hear from you. And for all of everyone who was aware of our situation, which was not too many people, but anyone who was aware of our situation, I thank you for your prayers, your kind words, and your positive energy, because I know that that had an impact. And I look forward to continuing to share whatever insights come my way with you as we move forward. So I'll see you in the next video.